Hi friends, and welcome to my weekly live stream about the Uno platform. My name is Jérôme Labat. I'm the CTO of the open source project and Uno platform, and I'm spending about an hour every week taking a look at Uno platform news and coding and answering questions on the live stream for people that are joining. And if there are any issues that are coming up during the week, I'll generally take a look at that. But this week we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and probably in the next few weeks as well, which is going back to a feature that was developed a long time ago, probably a few 6 months ago, about adding the support for C# in the Uno Playground. So let's take a look quickly at what the Uno Playground is. If you go to playground.platform.uno, you get to that site. And this site is basically giving you the ability to test out XAML and the data here so that you can test making modifications to the size of the font or changing data bindings and things like that. So for instance, if you want to change here the data binding with the data that you provide and that's bound to the UI, that's the way to do it. And that playground is only basically manipulating XAML and JSON, is not manipulating any C#. And it's also, and that will be a particular piece of interest. That playground is using also the Monaco editor, so you can see that the code here is presented in a way that it's looking like what you can see in Visual Studio Code, and there's a good reason for this. That's the same text editor and formatting and all the things that you can get, like searching and others that are available as part of that component. And we're integrating that into the Uno Playground. So what you're going to be doing today is upgrading that, continuing the upgrade, because it started a while back, and it was actually blocked on a few features, but now that it is unblocked, we're going to take a look at it and to see how we can have more C# integrated in that feature, in that playground. So if we go back to the playground, and one of the things that was missing actually, so we have a binding that is working here. So to be able to use that component inside of a UWP Uno app here, it's called the Monaco editor for UWP that was developed by the XAML Llama. And we made a port of this for WebAssembly. And one of the features that was missing for the integration in WebAssembly was the ability to have multiple editors, Monaco editors at the same time. And that wasn't blocked recently, so now we're able to run this directly in the browser, so multiple editors at the same time. So let's go take a look at all this. So I have a local API server here that allows just to provide some content directly. But we're going to be adjusting that very quickly. And so let's go and take a look at what we can get here. I think I do have something of interest here that I had already. Let me check that again. I think I had a URL that was existing. So I'll be pushing it out. Okay, so to build that playground, what we're going to be doing is just, it's a specific branch that has that C# support. And when we're building, it says that the Monaco editor is not giving us anything interesting there. So we're going to have to go and get that version of the pull request that's here. So what we do is we can go to the Monaco editor here, and we're going to take a look at the build that's available somewhere in there. And we can see, it's not giving us that thing. So let's go to our build system. So if you're logged in, you're going to get that directly. So let's go and see what we have here. So we have a new build somewhere in there. If I search for the Monaco editor, there you go. Do I have a new build that was done? No, I don't think there's any. So it looks like the build wasn't triggered. So let's do it manually. So what we're going to do is go pick up the version that had, let's say that version that had one version of the artifacts, and we're going to be doing the upgrade manually for now. I'm just going to show you this because it's something that when developing a NuGet package is generally important. So let's go put that NuGet package in our local NuGet here. And what we're going to do is ask Visual Studio to load that version of the NuGet package, and then we're going to be doing some local updates of the package so that we use something. And there's another reason for this, and there's another issue that I found recently, and we're gonna try to find out what happens there. So to change this, we do manage NuGet packages, and we're going to change the sources. So we need an additional source that is going to be called local, NuGet local. And the version that is installed there is the version 15. So let's go and upgrade to 15 for now. But that's not the one that I want. So that one is dating back from August. It's not the right one. So let's pick. Let's make local changes so that we get something interesting. So let's go and build that version here. So I'm going to show you to how to make that modification directly. And here, so I'm going to be building the Monaco editor component. And what we're going to do is change the path to that file. So to get, we're going to change the file in the NuGet cache. So in NuGet cache, we're going to be going into the packages here. We search for the Monaco editor here. And then we search for compile time assembly. So that's the file that I need to change because it has local changes. And we're going to open that in the File Explorer. If it wants to. No, it looks like I didn't copy the right content. There, so that's the file that I need to modify. And in Monaco editor, I think the build finished. Yeah, it finished. And I need to change it for the file that's located at that is at that location. So I'm going to open another one, and I'm just going to do a simple copy paste from one path to the other. I'm going to be replacing the NuGet cache version with another one. Okay, so now if I go back to the playground, now we should be able to run our playground again, and this time it's not going to complain that it's missing something. So I'm going to show you what the playground looks like now. It's actually a lot better than it used to be. If you take a look at the code that we did, I think it was last August. No, that's what was mentioned there. And so the fix that I had to make for the Monaco editor was that in the newer version that supports multiple editors, the property changes were not pushed properly. Okay, so there you go. So let's see, do I have something that works properly? So it says private results. Oh, the connection string is not right. Okay, so let me fix that quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna spend a bit too much time fiddling around. That shouldn't be too long. It looks like I do have a missing file somewhere. Let me fix that up. It should be just a few seconds. So just not going to show you what I have on screen because it includes private content, but should be fast enough. So what I need to change is the connection. So I needed to change the backend so that it supports the inclusion of code, so that we can save a snippet with addition of code, and that is what is missing here. So let me try that again. Should be back now. There we go. So I need to start my API again. And it should be fine this time. Yes, that works better. So if I go back to my playground here, it should load a bit better. There you go. Okay, so don't mind the content here. It's not super important. It's just a default database that has some content. But the idea is that we can do something like this. And that's what is particularly interesting, is because we can get to code that is provided by that pane, and that includes code that is coming from using XAML that comes from that control. So it's the kind of things that we can do back and forth. I think I do have a better one, but let me find one that is of interest a bit more. I think I had that somewhere, or we can copy and paste some code. No, I don't have it there. So let's find the right. I think I had a bit more code that is more interesting than the one that I do have here, because this one's boring. It actually doesn't have much code to take a look at. So I think it was let's take a look at that one. That probably would be the right one. Okay, so if I reload again, should be having some context. It's a little bit more context. Okay, there you go. That's much better. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I do have a control, and there's a bit of things that we can remove, but that's the idea. We have a piece of XAML here that is referencing an X class here that is defined in a C#. And the interesting part here is that when I click here, the content, the click to, you can see that the code that was, so let me go back. The button is having an X-bind to a test method. So when I click the click me here, it executes the code that is coming from that button in there. So let's say if I change that to 3, I click again, and then I have 3 now. So that means that code was recompiled as soon as I made changes there. So let's say if I do something like this, so it's probably going to fail, and that's what I want to take a look at. If I do a using here of system, the compilation will work, and then if I click, I do have 3 plus the time that is showing there. So that's the super cool part about having a C# code inside of the browser, and it's completely local. And mind you, that's something that's very important here. We're not having any server-side counterpart. The API that I was showing you is just for storage, so it's only to save the snippets. And so that's where we're at with this. So what the playground is doing is basically trying to find an initialize method here. And that initialize method is returning a control that is going to be shown here in that section on the right. And when the control is built, it's going to be using the XAML that is provided here, so that it shows as part of the my control or page here. We can add anything there. We could add any particular other piece of code that are of interest. Now, what is of interest here is that the fact that I inputted, I typed some code, and you could see that when I add the using here, it was not showing me the right content. And you can see that it's doing, it's showing me 3 times the errors for some reason. And when I think if I type something else, I think it's going to add some more. See, so it tells me that I have 4 errors of the same type, which is not correct. So I'm going to have to we're going to have to go and try to look up for where that is happening, and why it is happening. So the interesting thing is that when we're compiling something that works, everything's okay. But when we remove that line, then it shows up again. Oh, it's cleared. Okay, so there's maybe something interesting there. So maybe it's when we're rebuilding, it's not clearing the content properly. So that's gonna be something that we can take a look at. Okay, so I hope you like what you're seeing, because I think this is going to be very interesting when we're pushing the boundaries of making samples and things like that. So that's going to be very interesting. So that's interesting. That one is saying that right line is not there. So it Yeah, it's very interesting. So, you see the errors are staying there, even though the code's compiling properly. And one of the last features that I want to show you that's now available as well in that sample here. They're probably going to end up being published on the platform, the Playground site once this is finished. But the data context is also available. So if I go into XAML here, and if I say, so in my data, I don't have anything. So let me add something quickly. I'm probably going to change that one as well, because you can see here that the data, it's a blank editor. It's just a text box. It's not a Monaco editor. So we're gonna change that one as well, so that it becomes a better editor. So let's see. If I do test and I do hello Tuesday stream, and if I go to my XAML here and I change this part to be binding test, I should be having hello Tuesday stream. And that's the nice thing, because when I click here, it gets updated to the new version so that it executes properly. But if I go to data, it also updates. So what is interesting is that that C#, that class that I created here, is really part of the visual tree completely, and it as would any UI control that is included, either through XAML or through code, it gets inheritance for the data context that is provided here. And it's the same in your apps. So that's the cool thing. So you can mix and match the three tabs here to get to some pretty interesting samples. Okay, so let's go take a look at why we do have those squigglies that are staying there that shouldn't be. So in the code, if we take a look at where that is, so let me just remove some of this that's not useful. So in the playground, I do have my Sharp project that I should be removing at some point, but not for this part of the stream. And we have a few methods, and one in particular, which is called, I think it's update. There you go, update. Okay, so it has multiple parts. So it says if there's no source code, then we can take the XAML and then we display it as is. We don't change anything. But if it has code, then we're going to be doing some compilation, and then we're going to take diagnostics that get out of the compilation, and then we're going to be updating the UI with markers and others, and that's where there are a few things that are not working properly. So we can see here that we should be clearing the markers, and one of the things that we're doing is we're iterating in the diagnostics that you can see here, and then we're adding those to the Monaco Playground, Monaco editor, so that it shows up something properly. So I can see that, by the way, we have the code that is not the right one, so we can probably change that one. So let's say item is a diagnostics. So in diagnostics, we have the diagnostics identifier. So that would be the right one. There you go. We have source origin. So probably, I don't think we should be setting that one. Let me see if I comment that out. It's probably not that interesting. And we have the location of the diagnostics that shows in the UI. So now, what looks like is not working is that we have the clear errors here. That is supposed to be removing all the marker data from the source code box and the XAML text. And for some reason, it's not doing it. So we're going to have to figure out why that happens. My guess would be that somewhere in there. So we're talking about, let me see. We're talking about markers here. So that method clear, that is available here. It's supposed to be clearing content, and it's not. If we look at the code that is provided here, we have a method that's called set markers sender to array, and probably we're not manipulating the right content here. So let's go figure out what is happening here. So let me restart the debugger quickly. I probably pressed the button a bit too soon because we don't have the debugger available. So let's do this. So we have to take a look at the launch settings to make sure that we have the browser inspect URI. It's there, so that's good. And we should be good enough. So let's start the debug and see what we can do. So I see that there are Jose and Ahmed. Hello, both of you. So Ahmed is asking, I want to know how can we integrate XSD into Uno project and why isn't there preliminary? If we want to start and work from there, what can we do? So what do you mean by XSD? Is it you wanna have XAML schema available in your app somewhere? Because it's something that's part of .NET, so I don't see if there's anything that needs to be done on our end for that. But let me know if you have more details about this. So it says so the JS debugger. So it looks like a bug in Visual Studio for some reason. Let me see. Maybe I should be debugging in Chrome. I don't know if I have Chrome installed. I think I have. Yeah, Chrome's not installed, so maybe it's an issue in Visual Studio when connected to Edge. Yeah, that may be the case. So I don't know what that is. Select web browser. It says Edge, but for some reason it's not working. Okay, so let's not do it for now. I'm just going to be installing Chrome in background, I think, because I reinstalled some of it. And maybe there's going to be Chrome that's helping there. Okay. And we're going to be able to try that right after. Okay, so what happens is that, so I changed the content here, and for some reason it's not updating the markers properly. So it may be caused by, so what I uncompile here, it may be caused by the fact that the list in the sender, so the observable vector that is available here. Let me see, sender. So the marker property, maybe we're not updating the right content. So we're clearing the vector and we're setting to array with null and probably not updating everything properly. Okay, so do we have Chrome? No Chrome. So let's restart. So will we see Chrome appearing in the list? I hope so. Okay, we do have Chrome here. So let's see if Chrome behaves a little bit better. So we're going to go and try to debug what happens with the markers. Otherwise, we're going to be adding a set of console write lines to see if it helps. No. That is very interesting. So I wonder, sometimes it's related to the fact that it's running through IIS. Maybe that's the case for this instance. So Chrome is still not launched. Okay, so for some reason it's not working for my machine, so I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that another way. Let's not do that for now. So what we need to find is when we're manipulating markers here, if we're having the right values. So to avoid having to do copies all the time, I'm gonna be changing the build, and there's a we had that before. After build, is it? Post build event, there you go. So there was something, I don't know if they removed it, but There was a, no, it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so we're just going to be doing a copy, a blank, just a very blank copy of the output directly. Doesn't matter that much. In a previous version of Visual Studio, you had the a helper that told you what you could copy and where with the MSBuild variables, but in that case, it's not giving us that latitude. So let's change that and do it like that. Okay, so we're copying the file that's in the output to the NuGet package cache here. So let's do it once just to see if it works properly. Okay, I do have a copy. That's good. Okay, so we have our copy that's at the right location. Now we're going to go to determine if our Monaco editor is doing the right things. So we have the markers. I don't remember what that is. So the markers, that is XAML text marker. So it's a code editor. Code editor, markers. Markers, I have markups here. And the marker is manipulated properly here. So it looks like we're doing something with it. Yeah, we're creating a vector. And we're setting that value somewhere. Let me see. It has to be set from somewhere. Oh, there you go. So it's set here, and then when we change the values here, we get to a newer updated version. So what we could do maybe. Okay, so we're invoking the Monaco editor directly with our content. So maybe we're sending some script directly. I'm going to try to find what we do have for the markers. So we're just going to dump all the script that we're executing. That's going to be the easiest path. So we can see what we're doing really. So let's do console.writeLine. We're going to be executing the script directly. Oh, not WriteLine script. It's just a do want the whole script that is executed. So there's going to be a lot of stuff in the logs, but that's fine. Okay, still Chrome is launching properly, so that's the right side. But okay. So the one that I do need is this version. Well, that is interesting. Okay, so in Chrome, oh, that's not the right URL. It's 258. Okay, so if I make changes, let's go take a look at what's in the console. There's supposed to be a lot of things that are running. So we can see there's a few markers that are available here that have been set. And now we're going to try to find what happens when we're modifying some code and we're not doing the right modifications. So let's say if I put a space there in between, what happens? I do have all sorts of markers that have been created. So syntax errors, and we can see that now we do have the right error code that's showing up. That's particularly nice, but we're still getting initialized 3 times. So the interesting thing is here that we do have 3 times the same message. So that may be something that is of interest. And now if I remove something, I can see that my list is still not reset, which could indicate something different. So let's say, did I forget to clear something? Maybe. So I have a markers.clear here. The collection's supposed to be, oh, that's because I'm clearing the XAML text. That explains a lot. Okay, so let me try that again. And I think we do have parsing for the XAML somewhere down there. I think we're picking up 30 states. So that explains quite a bit. So if I clear, I think it's code box, source code box markers. If I clear the markers for the source code box, that should be working a lot better now. That's what happens when we have multiple editors. So we're gonna now it's probably going to be working. So we're going to be changing the last editor to be one of C#, to be a Monaco editor. This in the same way. But it's not starting. I didn't because I closed Chrome, so that's why it happens again. Okay. Web server is listening. Do I have Chrome? No, for some reason it's not launching it. That's very curious. Looks like a Visual Studio bug. So I'm using the latest preview. Maybe there's something that changed there. Okay, let's go back to Edge. Okay, so what we do have now is that when we change something in the editor, we should be having so it was 258. Okay, so we have our code here and should be having the content now. So if I change some C#, oh, that's better. That's a lot better. Okay, so I have initialized only once. So that one is actually interesting because we're creating some piece of code for which by reflection, we're going to try to figure out if the initialize method exists. So this is a static top level method. The thing is that the compiler doesn't know that we're going to be ignoring that method. So we could probably do something like this, but let's try it. Pragma warning disable, and which one is it? It's oh, well, disables warning altogether. That's not what I wanted. We need 8321. There you go. Okay, so we're disabling that warning only from here, which is what we wanted. But that's not nice. So we probably should be since we're expecting that method to exist, but the compiler cannot know, we're probably going to be ignoring that method altogether and saying that when we find that particular piece of code is actually not used, but we're going to be using it, then we're going to be removing it. So that's probably going to be what's going to happen there. Okay, so there we have it. So let's try with some additional errors to see if it works properly. So it says that text doesn't exist and the text block 01 does not exist. And if I remove the error, it comes back and everything goes away. So that's very good. So we do have not IntelliSense. We have error reporting inside of Monaco here, and it's directly coming from the C# compiler. So that's pretty nice. And it gives us all sorts of interesting things. So let's say one of the things that happens sometimes is that you create a variable and you're not using it. Let's see if it reports it properly. It should. Yeah, it does. Okay, good. Variable A is declared but not used. Good. Okay, so that's the first part that I wanted to update. So we're getting to something that is very interesting, and it's supposed to also be working. So if I save a snippet, does it work? So if I do this and I refresh, do we get to our? Well, it's the same, but it doesn't say. Okay, so that's good. Now let's go and change the data field here because it looks ugly compared to the others. So let's go and change that part. So it going to be looking like we're going to go into the XAML here. And in the XAML, we have quite a few pieces, but we do have three locations. if I search for code editor, so we have the source pane, we have the XAML text pane here. So let's have the XAML with the code editor. We have a source pane with the source code box, which is the variable that contains everything. And then, and I can remove this. This is not useful. And the last one is a local code box for JSON data context, but that's not the one. That's not the one that we need. So we're going to be replacing the whole JSON data context box here with a full editor. So dark, true, transparent. We want it to align top and grid row 1. And I think with code language could be JSON. I'm not sure if it really is JSON or it's supposed to be JavaScript, but we'll see. Now let's see if it compiles. Because we changed a few things, so maybe the updates are not going to be the right ones. We should be having some errors because the parameters are not going to be the same one as the code box. So, so we have text change here. That is not the right type because it's not text change. It's going to be a property change here. So property change if the property really has changed. And we're going to be doing the same thing that we have for property change here, but for data context change. So the signature is the one of a standard event handler, and that's supposed to be just what we need. So we have the same API. So to get the text from that control, we just get the text property, and then we can read the rest. And it looks like that's the only thing that we need. That is likely just a breakpoint, is it? Yeah, that's a breakpoint. Okay. So if we update and we go to data, we have something weird. Okay, so let's figure out what happens there. So probably we have some kind of an alignment issue there because it doesn't resize properly. So let's figure out what we missed here. It may be something that we need to fix on the playground itself. So on the Monaco editor itself. But let's go and see what that is. I noticed that in the playground also, the other controls were having a border around, so maybe that's related. And we have grid row, that's the right one. We're aligning to top like the others. Oh no, that one is not aligning to top, so that may be the issue then. It should not aligning to top. It's supposed to be taking the whole space, from top to bottom. Okay. So there we have it. Data, and there you go. We now have a superb JSON text editor. And if we use that in here instead of the binding, we do get the data binding happening properly. There you go. Amazing. Okay, so that's pretty good. It looks like it's working well. Okay, so that's that's the first thing. Now, the second thing, because we modified already a few other things before. So let's go and change something else now. So what I figured when I was doing some updates there is that when I do this, I think it does not work. Because it says that it fails because it says no quick fix available, and it assumes that namespace is supposed to be having something bigger. I'm saying with curly braces, and we don't have curly braces here. It's most likely because the API, the Roslyn version is not the right one. It's probably a quite older version. So we're going to be updating that version to the latest. So we got something is taking shape It's very nice. So with the .NET SDK here, and what I wanted to have was the Roslyn compiler updated. So let's go see where we have that. I would tend to think it's part of the playground project itself. So do we have code analysis? Yes, we do. Okay, so we have code analysis. So it's pretty old version. So it's 3.8. I think it's C# 10 most probably. So we're gonna jump to C# 11 or even after that. So it's 4.5. So let's see if it still builds. So it's restoring NuGet packages. There's quite a few of them. So let's see if we get something interesting there. And now we should be able to change. Our NuGet package, our C# code to use top-level namespaces instead of just having the boring, uninteresting version of. Oh, there it looks like we have a race condition. Okay. So the uninteresting version that doesn't have top-level namespaces. So let's see if it works now. Okay, so it says file scope namespace must precede all other members in a file. Good. So that means that it's supported. So if I do this, what happens? Program does not contain main. Okay, so that's not interesting. A namespace cannot contain members such as field methods or statements. So that doesn't work. Okay, so I cannot mix and match top-level namespaces, the top-level statements and file scope namespaces. So that's something that's interesting. Okay, so that is something that we won't be able to use. So let's go and change that so that we have the right scoping here. So we just updated the Roslyn compiler to be on 4.5, which is C# 11. So that's very good. Oh, I see that the Mixnets is here and Pro Security as well. Hello, thanks for joining. And we're taking a look at upgrading the support for C# in the Uno Playground. So it's something that I was working on 6 months ago or something. And a few things have changed since then, like the support for multiple Monaco editors and being able to see, to have an editor that makes sense for all of those panes. So that's pretty cool. And one of the things that is cool is that you can see here that I have a button that is doing xbind test here, and test is a method that is in the C# here, and I can invoke that method here, and it's going to be active. And if I change the code here to something else, if I click again, I have click 3, which is from the new code that was just compiled when I changed the text. So that's pretty cool. It updates right away, and you can see that it actually updates very quickly. The C# compiler is such an amazing fast piece of code. We're talking about 100 milliseconds just to update all of this. Well, that's very nice. Okay, so there we go. So that's something that we could do here. So and part of the feature that were included in this playground and on the C# side of it, at least, was the fact that we had the ability to import NuGet packages. And that one is particularly cool. I think the last time we did this, we tried importing something like, I don't remember what that was. Was it, I don't know, let's go take a look. I don't remember. But it was a pretty cool NuGet package that was there. So let's say if I took the compiler class that was there, we did quite a few things in there. And I think we added support for source generators last time. So we got the download NuGet package. We're searching for all sorts of interesting things. And we're searching for the nearest ones. And if we have refit, Oh yeah, that was the interesting thing. So there was this very specific piece of code that was for refit. For some reason, I don't remember exactly what that was, but I think we took a piece of code of refit and ran it there. Let's go see. Is there a sample for refit? Let me see. Let's go and search for refit. Is there a small sample that we can get there? Oh, I think that was the one. Okay, so let's try that one. I don't remember if it works. So so the test to do here. So let's say I include my let's include my API here. So I'm probably missing a few things here. So hey, morning for coffee. Thanks for joining. Yes, it's coming. It's coming. It's slowly moving, but it's there, and it's pretty amazing. So we're gonna be adding system threading tasks. So that one should be fixing parts of the issue. We're missing a user. I don't see a user here. Probably gonna have to create that class with a user. Okay, we're gonna create that class with a user. So let's create our class with a user. User, and I don't know what's going to be in the user, but we're going to see. And the get here is part of a namespace. If I take a look here, it's probably going to be using somewhere. What's the using that I need to use? I don't know. Probably refit. Let's try refit, just plain and simple. Okay, so it's not refit. It's probably going to be something else. And REST service. If it doesn't work, we're gonna try that simple piece of code somewhere else. Okay, I don't know. So let's create a new small app that will do the exact same piece of code so that we can copy and paste it here. So what would be interesting is to have oh, I do know it doesn't work. Now I remember. We haven't imported the NuGet package, so let's do that. So I don't recall exactly how we did that. I think there's a syntax that we need to use to say, there you go, ref. Okay, so we're using that syntax. So at the top of the file, we're going to be adding a ref with, of course, it doesn't find it. We need refit. I don't know if it's called refit. Let's see if it's called refit. So we're talking NuGet.info. Let's go figure out what the name of this is and which version it is. So it's refit and it's 632. Okay, so it worked. Okay, so that is still there. And we're probably going to be seeing that in the console. We're probably going to be having a download somewhere that happened. Okay, there you go. It's it extracted refit. It was stored in a NuGet folder, and it's running a net6 version of refit, which is what we need. And it looks like we don't have an error anymore. So this code is compiling properly. So now we do need to know what we can get there. So if I go back in there, I could do something like this. So the REST service, something that I can call from my code. So am I able to run that piece of code? No, it doesn't work because we're not in a nasing method. Okay, so in that case, I don't know if it's going to work, but let's try. If I do a nasing task here, what happens? So far, it looks like it's doing the right thing. So, and if we do, oh, doesn't compile, plus Octocat, it doesn't do anything. So it's probably not calling the method because it's an async task, most likely. So let's go for async void. I don't like it, but it's what is supposed to be happening. So maybe there's an exception somewhere. Oh, there you go. There's an exception. Okay, iGitHub API doesn't look like a refit interface. Make sure that at least one of method refit HTTP method attribute is installed in the project. Okay, so maybe we're missing the generator. So that may be something that got broken from last time. So most likely we need to have something that does a bit of lookup. So let's try to change this. Maybe it's the way the NuGet package is built that we're missing some content. Okay, so we have analyzers. We have interface stub generator v1 and v2. So maybe it's the one that we need to change. So let's go and see in there if we have something that we can change. And of course, let's save this so we can try again later. So that is a change before with the previous version of that app, is because there was no ability to save the snippets, so that makes the streaming a little bit easier now. Okay, so I have the NuGet package. I have these package assemblies. Now I need to find why the analyzer is not loaded properly. So I have the analyzers here. It's supposed to say refit generator. And do I find the right generator here? So it's supposed to be finding interface stub generator v1. So that's the right one. And do I find... So when compiling, it says refit generator, nothing. Okay, so it's not there at all. So it's not finding the generator. So that's probably why it's not happening. So this is supposed to be running to have generated code for the method that we have in here. So for the for API here is supposed to be finding something that's generated that you can find. And for some reason, we don't have the generator that's loaded. So we can see that the refit generator is not there. So maybe, so we're doing a get file and we get first, we're doing first or default on that interface stub generator, and it looks like we're not searching in the right folder. So we're searching for refit. Is the path the right one? Search for analyzers, interface stub generator v1. Okay. Analyzer interface stub generator v1. So let's go for v2 for now, but that's probably not good enough. So if the base path contains refit, and we have the base path, and we search in the analyzers folder, there it is. We should be finding one of those two files, and for some reason we're not finding it. So we may need to show what we're looking for. So let's just try with v2 just in case. And so what happens when we find a generator, we add that to the list of assemblies and analyzers that we found, and then we're providing that to the compiler so that it can run everything properly. Failed to fetch. Don't know why that is. Okay, failed to fetch. That's probably executing the code for some reason. Oh no, I tried to fetch. Oh, that's the NuGet package here that's saying that it's been blocked by CORS. Ah, that's probably why it doesn't work. Or is it? If an opaque search for, no, that's not what I wanted. There's some weird. There's some weird. There's a carriage return at the end. That's not good. So maybe that's the reason why it failed. It fails that way. So let's go and fix that. So it looks like the version is containing carriage return. So we're gonna have to sanitize that. So let's just do that right here quickly. Let's see if it actually fixes everything. So it will be, would be this one. So actually it will be a string, not just a character. And version may be null. That may be. So I didn't get that the first time, so it looks like maybe something changed in between. Maybe when I typed the text in the type the text directly, it worked properly. And now when we're getting it back from the server that stores the snippets, maybe in that context it fails. Okay, see, now it works. That is interesting because we're not getting the updated version of XAML here. Probably set too fast or too slow. Okay, so we had our text here. Okay, so it gets read properly. We're still not getting the refeed generator. Okay, so let's go and find all the files that are in that folder, in the analyze folder here. So we're searching for files that are named specifically for that path. For some reason, it's not giving us what we need. So maybe we're not searching correctly, or maybe there's a casing issue for some reason. So we're going to be showing everything that's inside the NuGet package file in there we go. Let's try again. It's still loading. That's not what I wanted, so let's try again. Okay, so which file do we have? No files at all. Okay, so maybe we're, because we found that we found something, but for some reason the path is not the right one. So is there, we're going to list all the files that are in base path completely. So maybe it's maybe that's the issue. One thing that I have not tried, I'm going to try it again. Maybe this time it's going to be helping. Okay. Okay, so it says, oh, it's not searching for files below. That's why. Enumeration options, that's always a parameter that I'm missing. So it's just searching for the top level. So we need to search for all directories. So there you go. So we have this. Let's make the lines a little bit smaller. I don't know how it worked before. Well, maybe I tried to make it work during the stream and it didn't. And because I forgot about that all directories option, it did not go and execute the refeed generator. So now we're gonna get the refeed generator working properly. Is it? Okay, refeed generator. We have the refeed generator v2 that has been selected here. That's good. And is it doing the right things? Maybe. Okay, so we still do have our code here because it was grabbed from the snippet ID that was at the top. And then if we click here, what happens? For now, nothing. And we're still missing the iGitHub API. It doesn't look like a refit interface. So maybe we're not compiling with the generator. So let's go find if we do. So that method for get package assemblies, no, it's not that one. It's extract NuGet package. No, it's not that one either. We have, yeah. So that one is a class. Okay. So when we invoking that method, we get package assemblies. We have analyzers here. And are we using the analyzers? We are not. We are not using the analyzers. So we have the analyzers that are provided here, and we're only returning an assembly. So that's why it's not working. So we have to provide something out of that specific method. So let's go for, I think it's a list. So let's call them analyzers. And references. So how do you call your I'm forgetting that I mean C#. How do you call your parameters for tuples? Do you use uppercase, or do you use camel case, or do you use Pascal casing? I'm never sure about that one. So I generally tend to use Pascal casing, but yeah, I think it's up to discussions in many organizations. So what's up with yours if you're on the stream? Okay, so I'm returning the analyzers, the array of analyzers. So you're saying it's a field. Okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. So it's a field, but you're using it as a like a public property. So yeah, it kind of collides with everything that is related to handling public field. So I think Microsoft had that discussion as well, and I don't know if they came up with something of interest. Now the thing is that tuples are now with records. They're changed, and that changed the tone of the discussion in a sense, because you can change that to be so if you change that to a record, then they become properties. So you get the same syntax or close, and then you get to choose Pascal casing. But anyways, okay. So if I go to my package here, okay. So camel case for McNits. Okay. So I have my package here, and I need to add so references, and I think I can add. There was analyzers, but I don't think analyzers. How does that work? With analyzers. Okay, so that's not add, it's with. Okay, and it needs to be an immutable array. So that will be packages dot analyzers to immutable array. So I probably should have been creating that from the beginning so that we don't convert the immutable array multiple times. And it's supposed to be a diagnostic analyzer, so I'm going to have to change that to that right away. So let's go change this. So it's going to be a diagnostic analyzer. And then for that, you're going to have to do some selection, I would guess. I don't know the constructor for that one. Diagnostic analyzer, and it takes a nothing. Okay, so it doesn't exist. Probably it will be a no, it doesn't exist either. So how do I create a diagnostic analyzer? I don't. Okay, so I don't know what that is. Let's figure out. Oh, that's not the one. No. A diagnostic analyzer. So maybe we can find the inheritance of that one. No, not that one. I think Yusef would know on top of his head. I don't know about that one. So maybe we can find. That's not the one. So maybe we can find a diagnostic there. So let's see. Diagnostic analyzer. No. Well, maybe we can create. Maybe we need to create that with something else. So I had assemblies here. So I add arrange. References. Diagnostic. Oh no, diagnostic is actually a diagnostic specifically. So it's a when you want to report an error. So that's not the one. So we get diagnostics here. Let's see where would that one go? So with analyzers, maybe is there another one for this? Oh, it's always analyzer. It's diagnostic analyzer. There's probably a method somewhere. Yeah, so immutable array will create a list of diagnostic analyzers, but that's not going to create the instance of the diagnostic analyzer itself. So there's got to be an API somewhere that does it. And if I don't know, I'm going to have to go and find out into the Roslyn source because I don't know about that API. Okay, so we're searching for diagnostic analyzer. Diagnostic analyzer, and we can see who inherits from that. Diagnostic analyzer here. Host diagnostic analyzer, analyzer manager. Oh, there's quite a few of them. It's not that one either. Nothing. Complain about X. Oh, maybe it's one that I need to create. I think I remember something about this where we had to create a diagnostic analyzer. Let me search into Uno, because I think there's no public class inheriting from this, and we need to create one ourselves. I think we did that in Uno. Because we did not have any choice. There you go. So we have diagnostic analyzer here, not implemented diagnostic analyzer, or may just they need to create the instance. Okay, so it's just the instance of the analyzer itself. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so we're gonna have to search the assembly for the analyzers. Okay. If compiler diagnostic analyzer. Okay, interesting. Yeah, but it's okay. So the compiler diagnostics probably the inner diagnostics itself. So the one that the compiler uses for itself. That's interesting. I didn't know about that one. Yeah, so that's the one for itself. It's probably not public. Yeah, that one's internal, so we can't use it. Okay, so that means that we're going to be diagnostics are just the diagnostics that are coming from the original version of the tool. So we're going to have to find those and report them. So unless there's something that actually does the analysis for that class, we're going to have to find it ourselves. Okay, so so to do this, we're going to have to filter out our content. So we have a list of analyzers here, so that's not the one that we wanted. And the one that we need is in here. Okay, so Let's do a get diagnostic analyzers. Oh, I had it already. Get diagnostics analyzers from packages dot analyzers. Is it? No, it's not. It's not that one. It will be analyzers, just plain analyzers. Okay, and that will be a 2 immutable array. We're going to create that one, and we're going to be introspecting the each and every class in each and every analyzer that we got. So that's our analyzer. Analyzer file. So it's going to be a file. So what we can do is we're just going to load them up. Pretty simple. Assembly dot load from, because we need to load from a specific file. Maybe this helps. Let's see. What do we see? Get compilation async. Yeah, you need to create the analyzer directly. Okay, so that's what I wanted to get to. So we need to load from, then load from. Okay, so that's exactly what we need. We need to get the path and then get all the types that are. Thank you, McNets. That's exactly what it is. Probably gonna have to start doing some ChatGPT stuff type of questions during the streams. We'll avoid having to search too much for that kind of content. That's pretty mundane. Okay, so we have the diagnostics, we have the assembly, we get the analyzers at the output, and then we can return the immutable array directly. So it's a diagnostic analyzer, and it's 2 immutable array. Create instance is not happy with what we wrote because probably create instance can return null, but for now that will be fine. And we're going to be removing that later on. So now we do have our analyzers. We returned an immutable array of it. And once we have all that we need, we added the analyzers that are diagnostic analyzers to the analyzers of the compilation, and we should be good to go. So what's pretty cool here is, and I don't know if you're noticing, is that we downloaded something from NuGet.org as an assembly, precompiled assembly. We load that up inside of the WebAssembly process, and diagnostic analyzer. I did have a immutable array of that. So we're loading an assembly that comes from NuGet.org in memory to get the analyzers that are coming from there, and we're gonna get what did I do? It's not at all what I wanted to do. So let's convert that to a select many. That's completely not useful. It's a select many for analyzer, and that's what I had in mind originally, but it went out completely wrong. So what we need is to, what do I have here? That's the right one. No, doesn't like what I wrote. And what do I have? Analyzer files probably because I didn't have the right output. To array. Okay, so I'm doing a select many here because each individual file can return a list of analyzers. So we need to expand that list of lists into a single array. And for some reason, still not happy. Not sure why. Oh, because I have two. There you go. That should be better. And not happy again because I'm returning a array and it should be an immutable array. And we should be good with this. What's up with this? Syntax tree does not contain syntax tree, so probably it's a so with analyzer, compiler with analyzer. Okay, so with analyzer is not what we need here. Compilation with analyzers. Okay, so it's a compilation with analyzers, so we're gonna have to do something like this, because the output of the with analyzers is a wrapper of compilation. So there we go. Okay. So what do we have now? Should be compiling. There's no red thingies that are left. And if I go back to my okay, the local file NuGet refit already exists. Okay, probably because I didn't validate that the extraction already exists. Let's see if I start it again. Does it do the same thing or not? Yeah, it does the same thing. Okay, so I'm extracting the NuGet package. That's interesting. Is doing the extraction twice? Oh, okay. That's okay. Argument cannot be empty. Analyzers. Okay, so it doesn't find the analyzers. So it find a generator, but it says argument cannot be empty. So it says compilation with analyzers, compilation analyzers. For some reason, we have an empty list. And if it's empty, that means that our search didn't work. So if the search didn't work, it's probably because we have something that was wrong here. Maybe the search didn't work. So we're searching for a diagnostic analyzer attribute. And I think that is something that was removed a while back. There's not using the analyzer attribute anymore. Okay, so let's, where is it? I don't remember. No, there's diagnostic analyzer specifically that is annotated on there. So that's the right one. But for some reason, it's not returning any class that is available there. So let's see. Let's log a little bit more. Analyzers in A. And we're supposed to be getting types from all of this, but for some reason it's not getting the right ones. So I don't think it's a version issue, but could be something related somehow. So when I'm saying version, it's a version of types that we're getting. Searching for analyzers in V2. Okay, so it's not getting there. So maybe it's because it's the V2. So I know that they changed in the V2 of Roslyn the way analyzers are built. So maybe that's the issue. Let's see if we search for analyzers using the V1, because we're searching for a specific version of the container there. So we search for V1. Maybe V1 is going to be better. So V1 and V2, if I remember correctly, there's one that uses incremental generators and the other does not. It's because it was something that was added in Roslyn 4, and it's incompatible with the previous versions, of course. So they use a Nemes build trick to get that running, and that ends up being that we cannot determine statically that it's the right NuGet to use, the right that it's the right type to use. Okay, so it doesn't work. And it says interface stub generator was searched and it's not working. So let's see, what do we have in there? If we go to NuGet.org and we search for, let's analyze that one and see what we have in there. We're going to save that file using NuGet.info, and we're going to take a look at what's inside. I have an AdSpy here. I think I do. Yep. Okay, so we have a refit generator that's called interface stub generator. It has an attribute here. And what that attribute is just generator attribute. It's not anything else. It's not, is it generator attribute that we're searching for? No, we're not searching for the right one. We're searching for diagnostic analyzers, and that's exactly what that is. We're not searching for diagnostic analyzers. So there's a difference between the two. There's one that's for diagnostics. So when you type something and it squiggles when you're hitting a set of conditions, and there's another one that's for generators. And that's the one that we want. Generator attribute. That is going to be the one that we need. And diagnostic analyzer. Is it going to be the right one? It's actually nothing. It's not even a source generator, so it's nothing. So we're probably going to have to. It's not the right. It's not the right one. So it's an instance of a type, but that's not the one that we're looking for. So it was completely wrong. So it's not with analyzers. Is there with generators? No, there isn't. What did I miss there? So that's not the one. It could be that because we're using compilation directly, the generators need to be executed manually at the end of the compilation for everything to work properly. That may very well be. Because generators are a special type of beast, and I think we do have. Is there a generator driver? There you go, generator driver. So let's see, does that work? What can you do with? What can we do with this one? So it's an abstract class, and what can we use it? I don't know if we can use it. So we're in Roslyn. Can we make our own generator driver? Okay, we have a C# generator driver. So that one is public. Okay. That's a lot of options. Okay, so we have a list of generators, so that's good. Okay, so we need to return a list of an array of generators. Okay, and track incremental generator steps. I don't know what that is, but and we have parse options and generators. Okay, so generators is going to be the list of generators that we had before, but the list of types that we actually have generated. So it's going to be packages dot generators, not analyzers. So we're going to change that name. And so this list is analyzers. So it's analyzers, but it's actually generators. So let's change that in the upper layers. So we're going to be doing get generators. And then what we need here is a generator attribute, but it's supposed to be an I generator, if I remember correctly. I source generator. There you go. And it's going to be an array. Okay, so we have an array. We don't need to array here, it's not useful. Okay, so we have an array of generators, and we're returning this to our method here that is getting all the references. So we resolve NuGet package, we get the references, we get the analyzers, and get a generator. So get generators, there you go. And then in resolve NuGet, we have generators, package generators. Oh, it's still called analyzers, but it's not supposed to be that. Okay, so we got our generators here. And we need parse options. And for the parse options, we probably should be using the one that come from the compilation. Get parse diagnostics, no. No, we don't have that. Okay, so let's set null for now and see how far we do get, and if we get to something that is working properly. And for the driver, what does it do? We got run generators on compilation, and I don't know what that will do. Compilation. Okay, so we're supposed to be getting a new compilation. Driver. Run generators and update compilation. So that's the one that we want. Okay. Okay, so run generators, we have a compilation, and we're updating our compilation here. And we got a set of diagnostics again, but that will come from the compilation. Okay, so that's not the same set of diagnostics, and it's another one. It's interesting that we have a different set of diagnostics. So let's ignore those for now and see if the compilation that we do get has the right values. Okay, so we run the compilation and we got a new compilation, and we should be having everything that was generated by the generator driver here. Okay, that's a lot. But it's so fun. It's so fun because we are going to be able to run generators properly if it all goes well. Okay, no diagnostics, which is good. And so let me just refresh that, because there seems to be that there's a okay, there's a race condition. Okay, so we have everything that we needed. And if we click, do we have something? No, still nothing. Okay, so we don't have anything that was added there. Maybe the generators are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So maybe we don't have any generator that was added there. Let's see. So if we search for resolve NuGet packages, maybe can get something interesting there. That solution is not too big, but it's, I don't know why it's slow. It's that's much slow in when running. Anyways. Okay, so we got, let's just output the number of generators that we do get for now. See if we actually get something. Okay. So we got one generator, which is supposed to be working, but for some reason it's not getting to, it's not doing the generation that we need. So is it maybe because we haven't tagged the interfaces the right way? That could be. So let's go and quickly, and that will be the last thing that I'm going to try for today. We're just going to be taking that code and put it in the put it on our simple test on the side, and see if we can get, if we do get it working locally. If we don't, then maybe we're missing something. That may be my ignorance of the use of the APIs for refit. So that's that, and we need to go and find the AutoCAD there. Okay, so we need our REST service. Does it, is NuGet? Refit is working. There you go. Okay, so we're adding refit. We have everything here that we need. Okay, so does it fail or does it work? Okay, so it does work. So we can see that the API was generated properly, and we had something that was generated behind. If we probably take a look at what we have here in the analyzers, we're going to see interface stub generator. It generated a few files. Generated an iGitHub API partial class. Maybe that's the part that I missed. Maybe that's refit implementation. So it's a different name, different namespace. So that's not that. So maybe we don't have this being generated somehow, or it's not included in our output compilation. Could very well be. So we got the right thing. And we got the right things in place, but our interface here is not getting picked up by the REST service or the generated REST service. So I don't know if I can see the files that are generated, maybe. So let's go back to our generator run. So we had our driver. Okay, we had a generation driver. Oh, we're running it twice, so maybe that's the cause. I don't know. We had diagnostics. Maybe that's the other part of diagnostics here. So we have driver diagnostics. That's right, what we do have in those diagnostics. Got the driver diagnostics here. Maybe it will tell something. Who knows? So we have the right compilation. We have the packages and generators that are provided properly. The incremental generator output type is none. No output kind should be disabled. Okay, that's the reverse way. So we have completion driver diagnostics, which says 0. That's quite interesting. Why is it 0? I would have expected that would be the same number of compilation issues that compilation diagnostics that we had, or maybe it's very specific to the list of updates that we get there. So may not be that. What do we have here? Implementation, output, post any source. Okay, so maybe it's the way that I'm registering the driver options, maybe. Or I could put null, maybe. Let's see with null what happens. Okay, so null is not acceptable. It's default generator driver option. So let's remove them out altogether. because I took that line of code from the Roslyn source code, and maybe it was for some test of some kind that was validating some results output or something, and maybe it's not the right thing to do. Okay, so we have that one. No, still doing the same thing. It's not generating the assemblies. So it's doing. Oh, maybe it's something else. Because the thing is that in that context, it's probably doing reflection. And because it's doing reflection, it's probably not looking in the right location. Okay, so let's try that out. Let's see if I move that piece of code just once in the constructor, because that constructor is executed in a different location. So maybe it's not going to fail the same way. I'm going to show you why that may happen. And if it still does happen, we're going to take a look quickly at why that would happen. So the types that are generated by that compilation are available through a very specific assembly load context, and if the code is not running in the right assembly load context, then any kind of lookup will not work the right way. So that's what I'm talking about. There's a enter load contextual reflection, something that needs to happen, and my guess would be that if we're executing that code in the wrong place, it may not work. So let's say I executed it in here in the constructor, but what happens if I do it in the initialize? Does it fail? Type a namespace, iGitHub API is not found. That's a good reason. And it says probably the same thing. Okay, so it looks like it may be that the interfaces are not generated properly. That may very well be, or they're generated but they're not generated at the right place, or maybe there's a way for the generator here to show what's been generated. Generators replace, get timing info. Yes, it's so McNets. It is because a compilation is immutable. So when you're running generators on it, it modifies the compilation. But since it's immutable, that means that there's a new compilation that you get out of it. So that means that the types are new content is available in that context. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we can get we can go and find types from there. So if we search for Refit implementation generated, maybe it's going to give us something. Metadata, I think it's called. No, it's not the one. Get metadata. Get symbols with name. That one is nice. And we're searching for a symbol that's called generated. I'm going to search for that one. Symbol in all of this. And let's write which one we do find. And let's see if we get something out of it. So we're supposed to be getting the same thing that we get from the other side, which is a Refit implementation generated and a class that's called generated with an iGitHub API, something that inherits from the other GitHub API that we have at the top. So let's see if we get the same thing. So we do get completion diagnostics. Okay, so we got generated symbol. Okay, so it does work. It does work. That means that that type is generated. So what does not work is the fact that, and that's where it fails for us. It's the fact that the get generated type here method is not taking into account the fact that it may be in an assembly load context that may be different from the one that it's in. And let's see if that one does. Type.getType. There you go. So that's what happens. Type.getType in that context cannot work because it's not going to be reusing, it's not going to be resolving the type at the right location. So that is interesting. So it's specific to the way the playground works because it uses reflection in a very specific way. Though it's supposed to be that we have a so when we're loading types, so I can remove that part. It's not useful. In the playground, we have the anterior contextual reflection. That is supposed to be enough, particularly when we invoke the main method or the initialize method, so which is called here. But for some reason, type.getType is not doing the right lookups. So we're gonna change that part or try to find a way to get it to work. But that will be for next time. So I hope that you learned a bunch, and that was an interesting one because lots of cool new tricks with the Uno playground, and that we hope to be released soon. So probably next week we're gonna continue and see if we can get other generators to work with that new technique. So that's it for today. So until next week, happy coding. Bye.